upload it either, so if we don't like it, we don't have to upload it. If you say, Craig, don't upload that, I won't upload it. It's weird, I'm not used to having people in the car when I record videos. So, you got to see more of the inauguration than I did.
I did.
Because I was working. Not to say you weren't working, it's just I had to be logged in. So, what'd you think?
It was what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, a big hullabaloo.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't find it really any different than any other inauguration.
No. I saw some footage of protesters on the internet. People losing their minds. People like throwing, like breaking Starbucks windows. Whoa, buddy. Breaking Starbucks windows and like trashing shit and blocking people from going to the venues and stuff.
But I don't get that, because what does Starbucks?
Exactly.
What did Starbucks do?
Exactly. These are just anarchists, right? These are just people wanting to destroy shit for the sake of destroying shit. There's this one video of a girl. She kind of looks like Smugly Puff from that video. I don't know if you saw Smugly Puff, but she kind of looked like her. But she was sitting down on the road, and when they announced that Trump had been sworn in, you could hear Wolf Blitzer's voice in the background. She's like screaming and crying at the top of her lungs, and somebody's got their camera watching her, right? And all these protesters are just sort of like milling about, and then some people sat down with her in solidarity. I'm like, my God. And this person though didn't look like she was like, a millennial. She looked like she was older. And I'm thinking, that woman has kids. And if that woman has kids, or maybe she doesn't, who knows, but let's assume she's of age where she has kids. And those kids see that. What is she teaching her kids? That you don't get your way, you wail and cry and sit down and hold your breath till you turn blue? It's ridiculous. Anyway. I don't understand the destruction. I don't understand why people do that. I don't understand the meltdowns. I don't get it. People were disappointed people who supported McCain were disappointed when Obama won. They didn't melt down. You saw some people crying on election night going, oh no, and I remember people on the other side, laughing at them for crying. But they put their hopes in a candidate. But I mean, they weren't destroyed by it.
So, but in reality, everyone is worried that he's gonna pull the trigger on something or change some big rule or something like that. Well, if you look at Obama's presidency, which everybody seems to be of the same mind that he did a good job at what, within reason, right?
Yeah, some people think he did, and some people would disagree, but yeah.
But one of his major promises was to close Guantanamo.
Exactly.
Okay, and now we're 9 years after those promises were made,
and it's still
open.
Yeah.
Right? If one of his goals was to do something that everyone, or at least a large majority of the people, would agree should have been done or could have been done, wasn't done.
Yeah.
Why would you think that all of these things that people are worried that he's going to do are going to be so easily done?
Exactly.
If Obama, who everyone liked and respected for the most part, couldn't get something that everyone agrees should have been done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's just the thing. Like the U.S. they have the separation of powers, right? So the president can't just do things by fiat. I mean, he can do executive orders and things like that, but they're kind of limited in scope into what they can do, right? You can put signing notes on bills and stuff.
I think the biggest thing that he has direct control over is foreign policy.
Yeah.
And trade.
Yeah.
Right? Because that can all be... You could scuttle something by a phone call or a tweet.
It's true.
Right?
A tweet, can you imagine?
Well, you look at the stock market going up and down from his tweets, right?
Yeah, exactly. But, that's just an indication that the stock market is this fickle, stupid thing. And, people panic at the slightest thing. Oh, this guy's not letting him in. What a douche. Anyway, I'm not. I mean, people hold him to be, oh, he's going to be this apocalyptic figure. But I guess the same people who think that were thinking that Obama was going to be this, messianic figure. So if that's the mindset you have, then you put a lot more emphasis on what the president can do and who the president is. Yes, he's the leader of the free world, but a lot of that is just rhetoric, right? He still has to work within the confines of the Constitution. He still has to work within the confines of, the powers of his office. And the fact is, he's going to have a hard time because he doesn't have a huge amount of support in Congress. He has some, for sure, but there's a lot of, of the old guard that are, goddamn thing. There's a lot of the old guard that, are not going to give him an inch. So.
Yeah, it's thinking back to the parade, there was one, what I'm going to say is a protester sign. I don't know if you would label it a protester sign, but it was someone opinionated.
Sure.
But at least I thought, okay, this person put some thought into what it said.
Right.
And were able to show that they were upset, but at least be constructive. It said, please deserve this office. Surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty reasonable.
Right? Like, you're clearly telling him and anyone else who cares to look at your sign.
Yeah, I accept that you're the president.
That I accept that you're the president against my wishes.
Yeah.
But the opportunity is now with you.
Yeah.
To surprise me.
Kind of like those people on stage at the Hamilton play, right? When Mike Pence was up there just after the election, but before, there's I think a few days after the election, the cast of Hamilton got up on stage and said, hey, we know Mike Pence, you're in the audience. Let us air, our concerns for you and the administration, and please make sure you remember us, kind of thing. Now, it wasn't a bad speech, but people were saying, well, it wasn't really the time or place.
Yeah, it's not the location to do
that.
I mean,
exactly. People paid to come and see you play.
Yeah, and he's not there as a representative.
Right, he's there
as someone who paid to watch you perform.
Yeah, and he had a really good response to the whole thing. People were up in there. I mean, Trump made some stupid tweet about, how it was disrespectful and blah, 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 blah. But he was like, yeah, you know what? It was a good play. I recommend everybody go see it. I'm not bothered by that. We understand, this was a very, what do you call it? Combative election, and a lot of people's nerves are frayed and yada, yada, yada. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can have reservations about the presidency, but the meltdowns that I'm seeing on people who were so sure, and I blame the media for this. I blame the media for everything, but I blame the media for this. They put it in people's minds that they were so sure that Hillary was going to win, that when reality didn't match what they had built up in their minds, people didn't know how to deal with it. And I think,
well, they almost vilified this potential future.
Right.
Anytime it was discussed, could it go one way or the other, they were so incredulous to the fact that he had that support that he needed to do it. So, I don't know. I think it's for everyone who just got their media, who basically suckled from one source, right? Without trying to balance it, without, poking your head out the window and looking to see what's going on around you, then you kind of got smacked upside the head when all the chips fell, right?
Yeah.
They had it in their mind that the information that they were receiving was the only information and the right information, that when the reality of the situation
was something completely
was unavoidable, that it's like a it's like a world rocker.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Well, and the thing is, it's like people talk about the bubble. People exist in their own bubbles, right? So, Saturday Night Live did a skit about the bubble. And that's just it. People they find the media that confirms their biases, and they just watch that, right? And when you consider that the age we're in, where there's unbridled media everywhere online, to just say I'm only going to watch Ben Shapiro, or I'm only going to watch, Rachel Maddow, that's, you can't help but, delude yourself. But and the problem was, though, during the election, it became impossible for anyone to discuss it, because anytime you tried to discuss it, people would get so agitated and so angered by anybody who disagreed with them. Like, anybody who was a Trump supporter was automatically a Nazi. It didn't matter who they were. It didn't matter the color of their skin. And anybody who was like a black person or a brown person or a woman who supported Trump, the people on the other side could not understand it. They just couldn't fathom it, and they didn't want to listen to find out. And if the person tried to put an argument out there, they would say, "Oh, you've just internalized your misogyny, or you have internalized racism, or whatever. You've internalized your," or if you're black, they called them an Uncle Tom. But anyway, I don't know. It's tough because there's no discourse anymore. It's just, there's camps, there's tribes, and nobody wants to say, like, and this is the thing which is kind of, bothers me, I think, the most, is that nobody on the other side is willing to, like, be introspective at all and go, why did Hillary lose? They just liken it. It's Russian hackers. It's it was the FBI coming up making that statement a week before the election. No, you had a bad candidate. You had a bad candidate, full of scandal, full of corruption, and she was put up there because the powers that be in the DNC thought it was her turn, and that's all there is to it. And they wouldn't even broach the idea that, well, maybe she's vulnerable.
Yeah.
They had the media behind them, they had Hollywood behind them. They figured she can't possibly lose. So,
but it's also difficult coming off an 8-year double-term stint for one party.
Right.
You're always at a slight disadvantage because it's natural tendency
for
people
change.
to want to change.
Yeah, and that's all. I mean, I think they underestimated the whole idea of a change candidate, because she simply did not run as a change candidate. She basically doubled down on everything Obama had done, and there were 60 million people who thought Obama had done a bad job.
Yeah.
So. And I mean, and I would say that the same thing elected Trudeau, apart from the fact that he was way more charismatic than Stephen Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Harper had been in power for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, change candidate in a change year. I think, it was really the job of the DNC to basically put forward the best candidate if they truly wanted to win. Maybe they didn't really want to win that badly.
But a candidate with a separate platform.
Yeah.
Like you said,
Bernie Sanders would have been the natural counter to Donald Trump, because he also was a populist. He was a populist on the left side of things, but he was a populist. And he would have had the millennial vote locked up without any celebrity endorsements. But whatever. They didn't. They robbed him of it. And then I think the fact that he basically turned around and started stumping for the DNC and stumping for Hillary after they had basically colluded to try and keep him from winning really turned off a lot of voters who had supported Bernie. They weren't going to turn around and support Hillary after that. But again, they'll say, well, that's Russian hackers releasing that information about how the DNC operated. They're saying it's Russian hackers were responsible. No, you were responsible for making bad decisions. The fact that it got out is irrelevant. You shouldn't have done that. You should have shouldn't have played dirty pool. And you're mad because you got caught playing dirty pool. Who cares how you got caught? It's a long ride home on a Friday night because the roads are really busy. It's 14 minutes. Oh, that's not too bad. Sometimes it takes me like 18, 20 minutes to get home. Anyway.
It's only rain, not snow.
Yeah, it's true. I just find traffic's heavier going home than it is going to work. Now, I don't think Bernie would have beaten Trump personally, because I think people are tired of the virtue signaling, and Bernie Sanders sort of walked right into that and said, yeah, I'm fully on board with playing identity politics and siding for the marginalized group, which people were sick of doing, right? As opposed to individuals who have a hard time. But anyway, we're at my place now. Gonna play some games. Oh, I almost hit the wall. All right, good night.